morning, everybody. How are you? Happy Thursday. You were probably expecting to get the other Sarah since it is 5 o'clock, and that is the normal 5 o'clock spot is normally when Miss Sarah James is here with you, but she is at Bead and Button. So she has asked me to move my spot to the 5 o'clock today, so I won't be going on after myself in 30 minutes. Yeah, no, that's not funny, but we'll pretend like it is. Anyways, so it's not just for today. We are gonna go ahead and move my regular time slot that's normally at 5:30 Eastern. We're gonna go ahead and bump that back to 5 o'clock just so that all the Jessie James Live Facebook Lives happen right at 5 o'clock every single day. So you've got something to look forward to every day from the wonderful people at Jessie James Beads. So today, like I said, you're getting me a little bit early. We're gonna do a really cool project today. And we're using another strand of the Dakota bead strands that are on the Jessie James Beads website. And I know I say this probably every single time that I've got a bead strand from Jessie James, but I know you guys probably feel the same way. It's like every time you get a new strand, you're like, this is my favorite. I know I already said that. This one's my favorite. But this time, I mean it, this one's my favorite. It's like that every single time, and the Dakota Stones strands are no exception. Every time I get a new one, I'm like, this one's my favorite. And this time, this is my favorite. I love this strand. We're gonna use the Dakota Stones Terra Agate strand, and let's see, Terra Agate twist. I'm gonna make sure that I get it right. And this is gorgeous. Oh, and that glare is terrible. You guys can't see that. Let me hold this up here close. We're gonna see it up close in a minute, but I want to show you. Let me turn my light out. Maybe that'll help. Do you see that? Oh my gosh, how pretty is that? So beautiful. Okay, so you're gonna get these 16 by 22 millimeter Terra Agate twisted ovals, which are amazing. But then you're also gonna get these 10 millimeter rounds and these 8 millimeter rounds. And I have a really hard time deciding which bead I like the most. I can't decide if I like the twist or the rounds. I'm really drawn to those rounds though. Look at that band on those. It's absolutely gorgeous. Hi Laura, I'm so glad you are here today. Yeah, look at that. And then you've got the copper spacer beads and some of the glass beads in between there that are words are hard. Beautiful all by themselves. This is just a really beautiful strand. So right now, this is my favorite strand. And again, we'll show it. Hi Heidi. We will show it. Hi Lisa. Gorgeous, love the colors. Me too. And so today's project is a real treat, and it's really cool that we're getting to use this strand because I say it's a treat. Let me back up just a second, okay? So it wasn't a treat to start with at first. I was really kind of nervous about it. I'm gonna turn my light back on. I hope that's okay. Okay, I don't know that it makes that much difference, but Sarah asked me, since Father's Day is coming up, she asked if I would do a men's jewelry project. And when she asked, inside I screamed just a little bit. And the reason is because men's jewelry, I don't know how you feel about it, but men's jewelry is so hard. It's so hard, which is silly because I have 2 men living in my house. You would think that by now I would have mastered making jewelry for the men folk in my life, but I have not. It is so difficult. Men's jewelry is really relatively simple, and maybe that's what my problem is that I tend to take the most simple thing and make it crazy hard. I don't know what it is, but men's jewelry is just so different from women's jewelry. It's really hard to do. So when she asked me to do this project, I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? But I did come up with something, and this strand is perfect for it because this strand, you could dress this up or dress this down. We're gonna work it with some leather. We're gonna make some knots and definitely make a man-approved bracelet. I got this approved by both husband and teenage son, so I know they got their seal of approval on it, so I know that this is a good one that they will definitely wear. Hi. So glad everybody is here today. I know you guys were probably hoping to tune in and see the other Sarah. You're getting a Sarah, it's just this Sarah. So, all right, we're gonna use the Terra Agate strand, like I said, and then we're also going to use the tying station. I'm going to hold that up for you. If you've never used the tying station before, that glare is terrible. I'm just going to cut that out until we're ready to go. I'm still kind of, All right, so this is the tying station. For those of you who have never seen or used this before, you can get this on Jesse James Beads. This is a Beadalon product. This is one of my favorite tools, and I say that too. It's my favorite strand. It's my favorite tool. But no, I really love this tool because it's really versatile. I use this for a lot of different things. You know how back in your camp days when you would make friendship bracelets and you would like safety pin those to yourself or safety pin them to your friend next to you or your sock or your knee, and then when you got a little older you used a clipboard? This solves all those problems. You can use this for all of those friendship bracelets. You can use these for the wrap bracelets. You use it for a lot of different things. So I'm excited to show this to you guys, especially those who have not seen it, because this is really a cool, very versatile tool to have. And you'll notice it's got a handy ruler on the side, so you can always kind of keep up with how long your piece is. So we'll get all the little how-tos on it. Hi, Susie. We'll get all the how-tos on it when we move down. Before we get the project started, and I'll say this again at the end because I know some people kind of trickle in towards the middle. Just a reminder that today is the last day, no, not today, tomorrow is your last day to sign up for the June Magical Mystery Box. And for those of you who are first-time subscribers, if you've never subscribed to the Magical Mystery Box before, if you use the code MYSTERY, you'll get $10 off on that, which is an amazing deal. Even without the $10 off, the Magical Mystery Box is an amazing deal. I get a lot of different subscription boxes. This one's my favorite. Everything is my favorite. But I mean it. I mean it. It really is. Nobody does a box like Jesse James Beads. I mean, that's just the truth. And speaking of, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I will be back and we're going to revisit the Seize the Day box. It was the blue one that was for last month. We're going to look at it again. For those of you who did not get that box, you can still buy it. We're going to go through it and then we're going to make something out of all the little goodies that are in it. So I'm looking forward to that. So you guys are going to get some more of me tomorrow afternoon as well. All right, so let's get to this project because this is a cool one. And I am really excited to show you. Give me just a second. Let me get this straightened out here for you guys. Oop. All right. Now I definitely need that light back on. All right. Let's me just a second to get everything situated here. All right. Okay, so you can see I've got a pile of leather here. And this is not just leather. This is leather and hemp. We're going to use both. And I've got the tying station, but let's move that out of the way for just a second and let's look at these beads because they're just absolutely gorgeous, and it's really helpful to see these up close so that you can really appreciate just how stunning they are because they are so, so pretty. So again, you've got these twisted ovals. They are the Terra Agate and both sides are awesome. Like I had a hard time deciding which side I was going to use. Which is also cool, you know, when your necklace or your jewelry piece is like loose and jangling around, it's going to be pretty on either side. So you don't have to worry. Like if your necklace flips over, you're going to have a beautiful stone either direction that it ends up laying. And then the rounds are so, so pretty. All right, so let's cut this apart and take all of our beads off of the strand here. Okay, so what we're going to use for today's project is, hold on, let me adjust. This light is just not working today. It's really cloudy here today, so that's making a big difference. It's very rainy. Okay, so I'm going to use this one because it has a lot of that brown in it. I do love that blue, but I'm going to use this guy, and then we're going to use all of the rounds just because they're gorgeous. But look, even if I just use these 4 rounds and this one twisted guy, I've still got enough jewelry. Okay, so I'm going to make a man's bracelet, but then I've got enough jewelry to make something for myself. Here, I can make a really pretty pair of earrings out of those just for myself. So really good that there is enough. Okay, so hi, Dawn. Welcome in. All right, check these guys out before we start stringing them up. Love them, love them, love them, love them. Guys, go get this strand. You will not be disappointed. Okay. Now, I'm going to move these guys out of the way and let's talk about the tying station for just a second. Now, this is going to be kind of weird because once I get started, I can't really, oh, I can zoom in. Okay, once upon a time I couldn't zoom in. I can't zoom out any though. Okay, it's just that this guy is longer than the screen, so okay. Anyway, so you can see it's all made out of acrylic, which is cool. Just don't, you know, don't step on it. I did that and broke one in half, but for the most part, this is really a sturdy tool. And it's got the ruler on the side so you can keep up with all of your length as you're going, which I absolutely love. And I love that that 1 inch starts up here, which is where your clasp is. So you don't have to do that math. You know what I'm saying? All right, so you unscrew all of this. Hi from Scotland. Wow, hi, welcome. So you unscrew this little guy, this wing nut, and then you've got a washer here and then a plate. So you attach your strands or whatever it is that you're working on to this part here, and then you're going to put the acrylic plate down and then the washer. And it's really important, don't forget to use the washer, because if you screw your wing nut down too tight without the washer, you can crack this acrylic plate here. So it's really important. There's also another one of these on the other end, so that you can secure your other end. And we're actually going to do that. So I'm going to show you in just a second, okay? There was something else I wanted to mention before we get started. Oh, a lot of people ask, what are the holes for? Okay, you see all the little holes in the acrylic plate? People tend to wonder, like, what is that all about? And I'll be honest with you, I don't know the exact thing. I don't really know for sure. But what my guess and the way that I have used it is, if you are like making macrame with several different strands, you can attach all your strands here and you've got them all nice and wide and separated. Also, the plate on the bottom has the exact same holes, so you could string this direction and then you could use it like a loom. That's just my guess, and I'd say that's probably a pretty good guess. I may be wrong. I'm gonna ask Beadalon just to be sure, but if I had to guess, that's what it would be. Okay, so let's talk materials, because men's jewelry, like I said, is super duper simple. So we're going to keep it simple. We're only working with, what, 5 beads from that Dakota bead strand. And then I've got 2 pieces of leather, and I'm using black. Brown would look really good with this too. Those Dakota stone beads would look good with just about anything. I've got 2 strands of leather. Okay, this is not super huge leather, but it's really nice and soft. I've got 2 strands, and they are about 1 yard each. I don't have an exact measurement because when it comes to making knots, it's kind of hard to get that exact measurement. You want to be sure you've got plenty of this, okay? So like I said, 2 strands, about 3 feet, maybe 3.5 feet long, okay? And I haven't done anything to the ends. And then I've got about a 24-inch piece, and 24 inches is way too much, of black hemp. You can use brown hemp here if you want to, but I chose to use the black because I wanted the black to kind of disappear into the knots, okay? I didn't want it to stand out. We're going to string our beads on this instead of on a piece of leather because this is a little bit smaller and all your beads are going to fit on this. Whereas they would fit on the leather, but it was a little bit of a struggle, and I didn't want to use a bead reamer on these just because I tend to be a little dangerous with that, and I wanted to just leave them like they were, okay? It's up to you though, it's your strand, you do you. Okay, the only other thing you're gonna need is maybe some cutters, some scissors, and I've got glue. I got some hypo cement, just because I like to add little dabs of glue to all of my knots at the end. Okay, so we're going to take this piece of hemp and we're going to take 2 pieces of leather, and we want this piece of hemp to go in the middle. And we're going to take this and straighten it all out. Okay, try to keep our ends, make sure that everything is all the same length. Okay, and from the very end, we're going to come down probably about 6 inches. Okay. And that's what we're going to attach. We're not going to tie a knot yet, but you want to be sure that piece of hemp is running through the center and you're down, okay? You don't want to start on the very, very end because we're going to do a looped knot sliding clasp for this at the end, and we want to be sure that we have nice ends for that. And I don't want to create a knot here and then put it underneath this plate because it'll smash it, okay? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm just very carefully going to lay that across that acrylic plate. Again, double checking to make sure that hemp is in the center. Going to lay the plate down, And then I'm going to put down the washer and the screw nut, and we're going to tighten that down. And we want to get this good and tight because since we haven't looped around, well, if I could get it to thread, that'd be good. There we go. Okay, because we haven't looped around the screw, we want to make sure that this is extra tight, okay, so that we don't pull it loose. Okay, so that's good. That's nice and secure. You can see, give that a nice tug. It's not going to go anywhere. Now we're going to separate out our strands, and we're going to go ahead and take this center piece that is our hemp, and we're going to thread on our beads in the order that we want them to be, okay? So I'm going to thread on one of the smaller beads, one of those 8mm rounds. I'm going to thread on a 10mm round, the twisted oval, another 10mm round, and then the smaller 8mm round. And that's it for beads. Okay, the rest of this, we're going to fill this up with some knots. Now, I know that men's jewelry tends to be a square knot, and I picked a different knot. Hi, Sharon. Thank you for being here. I picked a different knot for this project because I feel like you guys have probably seen square knots over and over and over again. So I wanted to give you guys a little something different. You could do the exact same project with the square knot, but we're going to do something called a bump knot, and it's pretty easy. All right, so I've got all my beads. I'm going to come down here to the other end of my tying station. And you can see it looks just like the other end. I'm going to unscrew this just a little bit, and I'm going to take my strand of hemp and slide it between those plates. You can go ahead and take this all the way off if you want to, but I'm just going to slide that in there. I don't need to take the whole thing off just to get that one piece of hemp in there, okay? And then I'm going to screw this down. This is the only piece that I'm going to screw down because we're going to do all of the knotting with the leather, so we need the leather to be free, okay? So now that's nice and tight. It's ready to go. I'm going to bring all the beads down here to the bottom because we don't need those just yet. Okay, we're going to focus on the knots first. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to do lark's head knots, but we're going to do them in two directions, and so it's going to make like a square kind of pattern, and when you do it that way, it's called a bump knot. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. Let me see. Where's that piece? Okay, so I'd already done it once before. I'm going to show you, this poor piece is pretty mangled. Let me cut this off so it doesn't look too bad. I'm going to show you, just so you get an idea of what this is going to look like. Okay, so this is just a little tiny section of it, okay? So we've got lark's head knots going one direction and then the other direction, one direction and then the other direction, which ends up making this really kind of cool weaved pattern, and it also lays pretty flat like a square knot would lay. So it lays really comfortable up against your skin. I don't know about the men in your life, but when I'm making jewelry for them, they want it to be comfortable and not fussy. This is definitely not fussy, okay? All right, so this is a really, really easy knot. You're gonna take your strand on the right, okay? So you're gonna start on the right. This is gonna be the working strand. We're gonna take the hemp and the left-hand strand and just hold those together. Okay, just like so. We're going to take this right hand strand and we're going to create a P shape over both of those strands, just like that. Okay, and now, and you can see it's going across the top of both of the strands going down. What is that noise in the background? Annoying. I have no idea. What does it sound like? Jan, what is it? What are you here? Now you've got me scared. I don't hear anything. All right, Jan, you keep an eye on it. If you hear it, you let me know, okay? Because I don't know what it is. Hey, Angie, welcome, welcome. Hi, I'm so happy to see everybody. Okay, so we're making the P shape. It's going across the top of both strands. Then we're going to take the long end, and we're going to come up through that P shape that we made. Okay, now we're going to pull all the ends all the way down, and what we've got here is this like half hitch knot, okay? And we're gonna pull that all the way up, right up against the tying station, okay? Just right up against it. You wanna push that with your finger, make sure it's really, really secure. Hi, Kay. Okay, now you wanna work that way for the entire thing. The one thing I will say about this, the knots are easy, but you wanna be really sure that each knot looks good, okay? because if you don't, it's going to tend to twist on you. Hi, Linda. All right, so now we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to make the P, but this time we're going underneath instead of across the top. Okay, so now our 2 cords are running across the top of this P section, and then we're going to take our long end and go down through that P and pull it. Okay, and then push it up there, and you'll see what we've done is we've created a lark's head knot just using 1 strand across those 2 strands. You have to think about the lark's head knot in 2 steps. First you go over and then you go under, and both steps create 1 knot. So that's not 2 knots that you're looking at, that's just 1 single knot. Okay, and luckily you guys are going to get to see me do this a bunch. All right, I just want to make sure that that's nice and tight. The tighter it is, the more it's going to hide your hemp strand. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to take the working strand that we were using and I'm going to pull it down and just hold it next to this strand. Okay, because now we're going to move to the other side. We're going to take our left hand cord and we're going to go across the top of both of those strands, back behind and up through the loop. Okay, and now we're going to pull. Okay, so there's step 1. All right, we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to go behind. Okay, so going behind both cords, and now we're going to go down through the loop. Okay, and pull all of that up nice and tight. And like I said, you really want to manipulate each knot to make it look right. Okay, so you can see you got 1 going one way and 1 going the other way. So that's 2. Okay, don't be confused. That's not 4, that's only 2. Okay, so let's do it again. We're going to go using the right hand this time, the right hand cord, going across the top of both. Okay, and then up through the middle. Okay, and then you're just going to pull. And when you're pulling, you just want to keep everything in line. Keep that hemp and the leather in the middle nice and straight in line together. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing, except this time we're going behind. Going behind both strands and then down through. Okay, pulling it all up. And now we've got 3. Okay. Men's bracelet using bump knots. Absolutely. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to miss your question. Yes, that's what we're doing. We're making a men's bracelet for Father's Day, because men's jewelry is so hard. It's hard for me to think of what men want to wear, you know? All right, so now we're going to the other side. We're going to make that P across both sides, going across the top, coming up through, and we're going to pull tight. Okay, and now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going behind this time. Okay, and then down through. So once you get the hang of the knots, you can work this up pretty fast. I'm just going slow because I want everybody to be able to see it. It's kind of hard to see because it is black. Angie, I'm with you. None of the men in my family wear jewelry either, which is crazy because I make a ton of jewelry. You would think that they, you know, would be all bejeweled and bedazzled with things that I've made, but they just don't, so I never know what to make them. All right, so we've got 4 knots, okay? Now we're going to slide up a bead, and like I was saying, once you work out the pattern for this, it'll work up pretty quick. I just want to go slow so everybody can see. That black is hard to see on camera. I hope it's coming across okay. Okay, just let me know if I need to move it. Yep, Sharon, mine too. My husband, he only wears his wedding band. And he has a whole like drawer full of things that I have bought over the years, but yeah, none of it. He does change his wedding band out occasionally. Okay, so we slid, I don't know. We moved a bead. What is the tool we're using? Linda, this is the tying station. It is the Beadalon Tying Station, and you can get one of these on the Jessie James website. I love it. It's so much better than using a clipboard. Okay, so we've got the bead up here, and we've got both strands running this direction. We're just going to go the exact same way we've been going. We're going to make a P. So we're going across over the top, both of those, and then up through. And this is going to secure that bead into place. It's just going to lock that guy in so that he's not going to move. Okay, you're going to have leather on either side. Now, at this point, when you're working with a bead, your cords are going to want to get kind of fussy on you. They're going to want to change places and be crazy, but you make sure that that hemp cord is always running down the center. Okay, you don't want it to end up over here on the other side because it's going to mess up your knots. What cords are we using? We are using 1 strand of hemp, and I'm using black, and we're using 2 strands of leather, and all of this stuff you can get on the Jessie James Beads website. The leather, it would work in brown. It would look really good in tan, anything. It would work really awesome. I've got about 3 feet of each, maybe a little bit more. All right, so now we did the first knot just like before. This time we're going to go underneath. Okay, and then down through. And then you're going to pull everything up tight. Hi, Janice. Welcome. Okay, so we've locked that bead into place. And now we're going to switch over to the other hand. Now, the pattern here is going to be 4 knots and a bead. 4 knots and a bead. Okay? So I'm going to speed this up just a little bit so that we're not here all night long. I know you guys have got other things going on today, and you don't want to sit here for an hour and watch me tie knots over and over again. All right, so there's the one on the left, okay? And now we're going to just switch over to the right. We're going to do same thing. Making that P coming up through the center. Okay, and then this time we're going behind and up through the center. And again, you want to, what millimeter size are the leather and the hemp? I will have to check and let you know. I don't know right off the top of my head, but if you will give me a couple minutes at the end, I can look for you and let you know. All right, so there's 3. We're almost ready to pull another bead up. So we've moved to the left, across both, up through the center. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the iPad. I apologize. Okay. And now going behind and down through. Hi, Joan. I know, Joan, I'm sorry. She thought I was going to start at 5:30. Sarah has asked me to move my time slot up to 5 o'clock. Today she's at Bead and Button, so I took over her 5 o'clock time slot, but I'm going to keep it. So my Thursdays from now on are going to be at 5 o'clock instead of 5:30, so that all of the Jessie James Beads Facebook Lives are always at the same time. So you're going to get one Sarah or the other at 5 o'clock every single day. All right, so we've moved another bead up, okay? We're going to do the same thing. Just keep on going. And like I said, I'm going to go a little quicker because I've done, you know, several of these beads slow. But if you need me to slow down and show you again anything just real slow, let me know, okay? All right, we're going behind and down through. All right, and if you'll notice that hemp, you can't even see it, okay? It's really well hidden. If you chose a different color hemp, you might see it in there. But because I chose that black, it just disappears. All right, going to the other side. I kind of wish I had had 2 tying stations so that I could work a little bit on this and then stop and then show you guys the steps at the end. I probably should have done that. Next time I have a long project, I will do that because I know it gets kind of tedious just sitting here. It is 10:30 at night here in Scotland. Wow, it is 5:30 here. I am on the East Coast. What time is it where everybody else is? I know we've got people watching from everywhere. I think Scotland's got the win as the furthest away, though I could be wrong. Somebody chime in if you're further away. All right, moving to the left. Okay, over both strands, up through the middle. Okay, and then we're going behind. Okay, and pulling. Okay, now we've got 4. Okay. And if you ever get confused, if you walk away from it and you don't remember how many knots you've done and just at first glance you can't tell, the way that I keep track of it, as you see this bump right here across the top, I count those. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how I know I've done 4 knots. Okay, that bump, that covers that 2 steps that you did for the knot. Okay, because that knot happens, like I said again, in two steps. Sharon's in New York. Sharon, what's the weather in New York? I'm gonna slide up one of these guys. You mean Powell is not the furthest away? No, Joan. Joan, I could probably throw a rock to your house. If I went outside and screamed real loud, you might be able to hear me. Okay, now this guy's a little bit different, okay? This guy's a bigger bead and it's not round. So when you're working with these guys, it can be a little bit different, okay? Sliding this guy up, and I don't want that leather to go across the side. For one thing, it won't stay. And if you do it that way, you're going to end up with just like this big floppy piece of leather that will not act like you want it to act in the end. And so I don't like that. So it's going to go behind. I'm still keeping it in line with both of those, but I've put it on the back side of the bead. Okay, it's going to keep the bead facing the direction that I want it to, and it's going to keep you from having this piece of leather that just wants to do its own thing. What is the size to be for this bracelet? 8, 9, or larger? Okay, when we get finished with this, this is going to be about an 8.5 inch bracelet, but it's adjustable. I'm going to show you, we're going to do a little adjustable thing at the end. The exact length is about a little smaller than 8.5. Okay, so this is definitely a larger size bracelet because I normally do like a 7.5 for a standard. Okay, this piece, I also want this piece to go behind, okay, but I'm not worried about it until after I make that first knot. Turned from gloomy to bright and sunny, warm 62. Oh, that sounds nice because we have gloomy and gross right now. All right, so now when I'm pulling that up, I want all that to go behind, okay? And I'm going to flip this over and show you. I'm going to do the second step of the knot first, though, and then I'm going to flip it over and show you what it looks like, okay? So it's still right here at the end, but both of those pieces of leather are on the back, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and do the second half of that knot just so that everything doesn't come undone, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Because I didn't slide that all the way up. See, if I flip it over, you can see it's nice and secure. It's got both of those pieces of leather running across the back. That's not going to bother you when you wear it or anything. It's gonna lay nice and flat. Okay. Hi Rita. So glad you could join us. All right. So that's that for that guy. And luckily there's only one of those, so you don't have to do, that's probably the fussiest part of the whole bracelet. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna go over here to the left. This marks the halfway point, so we're almost done, okay? And then I'll show you guys how we're gonna do the clasp, which is not really a clasp at all because there's no hardware involved. Okay, and now I'm going back behind. So, Sharon, I was gonna tell you, the weather here, I'm in East Tennessee, by the way. The weather here has been really hot and dry for, gosh, Joan, how many days? We haven't had rain in forever. And then starting yesterday, it got really cloudy and really humid. It gets really humid here in the South, and the bottom just falls out of the sky. It's like it saves up. Rain saves up
And then when it rains, it really rains. So we've had a rainy kind of day yesterday and a really rainy day today, which is good because we needed it, but it's like, why can't we get it in small doses, you know? All right, so I'm going behind, just keeping everybody on top of the game here. Going behind. What is the weather in Scotland? Thank you, Joy. All right, so we've got three knots so far. And now we're going to go over here to the other side. We're ready to go. We'll add another bead. We're getting close to the end. Okay, and then going behind. 12 or 13 days with no rain, says Joan. Yep, that's about right. And when it gets like that here, things start to catch on fire, and that's not a good thing at all. Okay, so there's those 4. And again, if you get confused, you count the bumps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we're ready to add another bead. We've only got 2 beads left. So here's this guy. I'm bringing him up. I think that's probably my favorite bead in the whole strand. Love him. He's so pretty. 14 here and rained for 4 days. Gosh. We need about 4 days of rain here too, unfortunately. I hate to say that because I like it to be nice and pretty, but it's just not. All right, so there's that. He's locked in place. Now I'm going behind both strands. Okay, we're getting really close to the end. Now, something that you're going to notice when you are working with the tying station, you can see I'm running out of space here. Okay, so they're eventually I can get all 4 fingers underneath my strand, but when we get a little bit further down here, it's a little more, I don't want to say it's difficult, but it gets kind of awkward when you get to the end. Okay, moving on. Let me speed this up so we can get to it, because I know, like I said, and it's almost dinner time here. I don't cook, you guys. My husband cooks. I can boil water, and I can make you a bowl of cereal. Coffee. I can make you some coffee or tea. That's pretty much, that's it. I can make jewelry, but I can't cook anything. All right, there's that guy. I can boil you some water, though, should you need it. All right. Oh, my goodness. Okay. My kids are learning how to cook, though, so that's good. I've got 2 teenagers, and they can cook more things than I can, and it's so funny. When my husband, there's 3, okay? When my husband goes out of town sometimes for work, or he goes fishing a lot this time of year when the weather's nice, and so it'll just be me and the kids here for dinner. And the kids are like, "What's for dinner?" Oh no, Mom's here. Mom's cooking. It means burnt pizza. Can we order Chinese takeout? It's so bad. It's like they know whatever it is that Mom cooks, it's gonna be a disaster. 1, 2, 3. This is 4. All right, we're gonna add the last bead and do 4 more sets of knots, and then we're gonna finish this guy off. Okay. So I'm bringing that last bead up here. Yeah, they can cook for me. I broke my foot a few summers back, and my poor kids, because they were home with me, which was a blessing for me, but it really was not good for them because we couldn't do anything all summer because I was on crutches. But they cooked for me that whole summer. That's when they really learned how to cook. I was so proud of them. Now, if they would just learn how to do the laundry, I'd be in good shape. All right, there's 1. We're down here to the end. You know what I think, though? I think they know how to do the laundry. They just act like they don't. That's what I think. Because I've shown them. Oh, well. At least they cook. I'm good with that. All right, there's 2. Just 2 more knots, and we're ready to finish this bracelet. And to do the end, we're going to take this off of the tying station. Thank you guys for letting me chit chat with you all. I know some people, you just want to come for the project and you don't care about the chit chat, and you know, but I appreciate it. It's cool to come here. It's just like hanging out with a friend. So cooked 2 days ago and we're still eating leftovers. Joan, I'm coming to your house. What are we eating? All right, last knot. Yeah, it is definitely bedtime for you. It is late. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I'm keeping you up late. I'm glad that you're here, though. That's pretty awesome. I love it when we have people from so far away. It's amazing. It's really cool that Jesse James Beads touches so many people in so many places. All right, so my last little knot here. He was there. I think I got him. All right, so there's all of the knots. We got the whole thing done. Thank you guys for sticking around while we did all that. Okay, so now I'm going to take this guy off of the tying station, and I'm just going to slide that out. And I'm going to come down here to the end and slide that piece out, and we're going to move the tying station out of the way. Now, a couple of things. I have way too much cord left over. So you're not going to need nearly as much cord as I said that you did. Okay. So I'm going to trim some of this off just to get it out of the way. All right. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come back up here to the top where we were, and we're going to tie an overhanded knot, and we want that overhanded knot to be right up against, whoa, goodness, we want it to be right up against that first knot that we made. Okay. And the only reason that I didn't do this in the beginning was because I didn't want to put it in that, behind that acrylic plate and squish it. Because sometimes that knot gets squished and then it never looks right again. Okay, so we're going to do an overhanded knot here. And at this point, you can add a little bit of glue to this knot if you want. Okay, you want to pull that nice and tight. And if you're really careful about it, you can get that knot to lay. Mine is a little crooked, but that's okay. Nobody will ever notice it, but you can get that knot to lay real flat, and it's pretty seamless here, okay? So now you can see I've still got this tail here. That's what we want. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece of hemp, and we're going to cut it off because we don't need it, okay? It's done its job. It's ready to go, okay? But we're going to tie another overhanded knot right at the end. I didn't leave myself a whole lot of room here, but that's okay. We're going to make it work. You just have to get my fingers out of the way here. Okay. Yeah, like I said. All right, and I'm going to take some pliers and give that a good pull too, because I want everything to be nice and tight. Okay. It's a little uneven, that's okay. All right, so I trimmed the end of that off, okay? So I've got this little section here. So this is gonna give us at least an extra 2 inches on this bracelet. So we started out with an 8.5 inch bracelet, and then this is gonna give us the opportunity to adjust that even more, okay? We're gonna come down here to the other end, and we're gonna do the exact same thing. Okay, we're gonna tie that first. What type of glue would you use? I use hypo cement for just about everything, and they make a hypo cement that is just for fabric, but I just use the regular, even on leather and hemp. You know, it works on just about everything, and I'll show you where I put all of it so that you'll know. Okay, so I've tied that overhanded knot, and I'm gonna cut that hemp off. Okay, and then let's come in here with the glue. So I use the hypo cement because it has that little precision, and of course it's glued shut because, oh, it always happens. All right, let me grab another one. Hold on just a second. The lid always gets glued shut, and so I always have a lot of these, and then the end also gets really nasty. I'm sure that yours at home probably looks like mine too. But see, it has that precision tip on it, so you can get down in the little nooks and crannies of your knots, which I absolutely love. So I put it anywhere where there's like a little opening, okay? So there's like a little opening right here. I'll put a little bit of glue there, and a little right in here. Pretty much anywhere that your cords are connecting or there's a little hole, I just add a little tiny bit of glue there. And the good thing about the hypo cement is that it dries clear. So you can see it right now, but in a few minutes it's going to dry and you'll never even know that it's there. But it gives you that extra security on your knots. Sometimes the leather, what I'm using right now, is really soft and so it grabs onto itself. But sometimes I'll open up a thing of leather or the faux leather and it's real slippery. And so sometimes when I make the knots, I feel like it needs that extra security because, see where I put that glue? Because I feel like it's so slippery, it's gonna slip out. You know, the knot's gonna slip out of itself. Now if I can get that closed. Okay. All right, so we've added the glue. So because I am far away, do I win the bracelet? I wish. I wish. All right, so we're gonna tie another knot, but we want it to be in the same place as this one, okay? So we're just gonna eyeball it, okay? I'm just gonna squeeze right there and go ahead and make my overhand loop here. And then before I pull it really, really tight, I'm gonna look again, make sure that it's, oh, see, that's way out of the spot. So I'm gonna bring that down just a little bit. You want them to be as close to the same length as possible, okay? We're getting closer, but not quite. Pull that down just a little bit more. That looks good. Once I pull on it and make it tight, it'll be in the right spot. Okay. So now you can see you've got both of these ends and they're the same length. And see, I had that leftover cord. There wasn't a whole lot. I did cut off probably about 5 inches, maybe 6 inches. So you could probably get away with 2.5 feet. Okay, I'm gonna say 24 inches would be a good amount of leather for this. I'm sorry, I wish I had had a better measurement in the beginning for you guys. It's hard when you're using really long pieces of stuff and you're tying knots because the knots alter, you know, the length of things. So measuring afterwards is nearly impossible. All right, so we've got 2 ends. Now we're gonna lay these ends next to each other and we're gonna bring in another piece of leather. And we're just gonna tie a loop knot over these. This has been called a bunch of things, but what I learned was that it was called a moose knot. I don't know if you guys have heard that before or not. It's really just a coiled knot. Okay, so I've got about 10 inches. This is more than you need. You're probably gonna be able to do this with about 5 inches. Okay, but I always give myself extra because this is kind of a hard knot for me to do. I'm sure that there are some of you out there that this is gonna be a breeze, but this is always a difficult one for me. All right, so we're gonna lay these cords. You can do this 2 ways. You can lay these cords all in a row, or you can lay them overlapping. I like to try to keep them overlapping, but they may not stay that way as we're working. We just want them together, okay? And you're just gonna grab those with your fingers. Then we're gonna take this piece of leather and just lay that across the top, okay? I've left myself a nice end here. I have a tail on one end. Now we're going to wrap this guy, try to move that tail so you can see. We're going to wrap this guy around all of those cords about 4 times. And I might have to do this twice. I'm telling you, this is not, it's easy to do, but it's hard to show. Okay, so we've gone across all of those 4 times. Okay, I'm going to come up. So now I've got this in, and you can see I've put my finger in there, just the very tip of my finger, to hold all of those wraps away from the strands so that I can take, oops, so that I can take one of my ends and I'm going to thread it through, going back one direction, okay? And then this tail down here on the other end, this is the part where I usually lose it. I try to hold everything together and it never fails. I make a mess. Let me wrap this guy around one more time. Okay, so now I want this guy to go inside all of that and go the other direction. And I am so sorry, this is so awkward. Okay, so now that guy is going that direction. So basically, our tails, you can see. See, that's much better than with all my fingers in the way, okay? And now you're going to pull. Oh my gosh, no! Stay where you're supposed to be. There we go. Oh no. No. I'm not fast enough. Okay. So you want to pull your tails, and ideally what you want to do is you want to pull them at the exact same time, which is what I'm trying to do, but I'm failing miserably. There we go. Okay. Now nothing's going to come undone. Okay. So we take both ends, and you want to pull both ends. See what happens? You make a coil of all that leather across the strands, and you want to be sure that you're not pulling up. Okay, don't hold your bracelet like this and pull up. You want to pull straight out on both sides, just like that. Okay, and make that pretty tight. You don't want it to be, you don't want to use extra Superman force on that, but you want to pull it, make it nice and tight. And you can always manipulate it around so that it looks nice. Everything's nice and lined up. Okay. And then you're going to come in and you're going to trim your tails off, and you can trim those off as close to that coil as possible. And then if you will notice, you can see that little white tip on the cord there. You can take a permanent marker and just dab the very end of that to make it black too, or brown if you're using brown. And see how it just kind of hides that? Now you don't see it. You probably wouldn't see it anyway, but if you're kind of a stickler for details, you can just use that permanent marker to cover that, the end of that cord where you trimmed it, and nobody will ever know. So now you've got your two ends, and you can adjust. You can pull it tight, and you've got an 8.5 inch bracelet, or you can pull it apart. And look how much extra room you've got, okay? There's no hardware involved. You use a metal bar to do it. I do too. I have a little plastic, what is it? It's a plastic needle, and a lot of times I use it, but I didn't want to use it today because, it's not really fair if I have a needle and you don't. You know what I mean? So I did it the hard way today, which is really not that hard. But so you've got a nice big bracelet here, and then like I said, you can pull it tight, adjust it to whatever size you need it to be, and you're not going to lose your cords because you have these knots here on the end. Okay, and if you wanted to get extra fancy with it, you could add some beads here too if you wanted to, but because this is for a man, I'm not going to be extra and give any of the extra. But look at those beads. Are they not amazing? They're so beautiful. And I love that, like, each one of them is so different. It has its own little personality. I think they're just beautiful. I really, really love them. Love them, love them, love them. All right, so that's our bracelet, you guys. Let me flip you back around. And a little chit chat for just a second before I go. And we'll let our friend in Scotland go to bed because it's bedtime there. All right, so thank you guys for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. Like, I know you guys some of you out there were looking forward to seeing Sarah today, and she is at Bead and Button doing the Bead and Button thing, and I gotta tell you, I'm jealous. I wish I was there too, but maybe next year, we'll see. So yeah, I will be on at 5 o'clock from now on right here. From now on Thursdays. I'm sorry, my brain just, whoop, it went out the window. I will be here at 5 o'clock on Thursdays instead of 5:30. So if you've set a timer for that, I have a timer set for it. I need to change it. I'll be here at 5 o'clock. And don't forget, tomorrow I will also be here at 5 o'clock. We're going to play with the mystery meat. It's not mystery meat, you guys. It's mystery bead box beads. That's what we're playing with. I got it. Been a long day. So I will be here again tomorrow at 5 o'clock for another jewelry project. We're going to go through the box, play with it a little bit, and then we're going to make something cool. So come back tomorrow for another project. Where can I order the white item you used, and where can I buy it? It is the acrylic tying station. This is on the Jessie James Beads website. Okay, I wish that I had a link. You know what? When this is over, I can post a link for you directly for your question for this. And Sharon, you asked me about the millimeters on this guy, on the sizes for the leather. I'll get that to you too as well. So
Thank you guys for all your questions and everything. Thank you all so much for being here today. And I feel like there's something I need to tell you. Oh, just an extra reminder, one more time, the mystery bead box subscriptions. Tomorrow is your last day if you want to get June's box. Okay, so you need to sign up by tomorrow night. And $10 off if it's your first time subscribing. Use the word mystery in checkout and you will get $10 off. It's really worth every penny, you guys. I love it. Absolutely, absolutely love it. We're going to play with some tomorrow. So come back and join us at 5 o'clock. And I will see you guys same time tomorrow. You guys have a really good rest of the day. Bye, guys. I love you. Thank you for being here.